This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. That lyric was written and sung by perhaps the most liberal American songwriter in history, Woody Guthrie. And when I was a kid learning that song, I never wondered how the Navajo people felt about that, or the Sioux, or the Wampanoag tribe in Massachusetts where I was growing up. This land was made for you and me. When I was a kid, I never wondered how the Mexican people felt about that song, since California was once Mexico, and Woody Guthrie's Gulf Stream waters were not always the southern border of this country. We purchased Louisiana in 1803 from the people who stole it from the tribes who were there before them. So no, this land was not made for you and me. And so we had to seize it. The current 2,000-mile southern border is really only 109 years old in its current form because Arizona and New Mexico did not become states until 1912, and so their southern borders did not become the southern borders of the United States of America until 1912. The Rio Grande River did not become the southern border of the state of Texas until 1848, when we seized land from Mexico in war. All of our current southern border was taken by force from Mexico in war. And borders established by the seizure of land in war are borders that have had problems throughout history, to put it mildly. And when you seize the most valuable land in a country, you will cause a permanent, massive economic dislocation in that country, and that's what we did to Mexico. The most valuable land in the world ever permanently seized in war is California. If California were a country, it would be the fifth largest economy in the world, fifth richest economy in the world. Imagine if California were still a part of Mexico. Imagine how much stronger Mexico's economy would be, and how many of us would be trying to get into California. Hopeful immigrants have been coming to our southern border ever since we seized the land to create it. They know their ancestors lived on this land not too long ago, and when they come to a place as blatantly named as New Mexico, they are emphatically told that this is not Mexico anymore and that they are not welcome here. There are few words that headline writers like better than crisis. If something is a situation or a continuing problem or a multi-decade challenge, it will appear deep inside the newspaper, if at all. But if something is a crisis,
Huawei, China's top chip maker, have built an advanced processor to power its latest smartphone. It's a sign that Beijing is making early progress in a nationwide push to overcome U.S. sanctions. Huawei has been at the center of intensifying U.S. trade curbs on Chinese businesses, which Washington says are based on national security concerns. Let's speak now to Bloomberg's Peter Elstrom, who has details here. So, Peter, strip this story down for us if you could. Bloomberg worked with a specialist research firm on this to take apart this new phone, this new smartphone from Huawei. What did the investigators find?
That's right. So Huawei quietly dropped this phone last week into the market, and it caused quite a stir. It's an advanced phone. It's called the Mate 60. But there were a lot of questions about exactly what kind of technology was inside the phone. Huawei had to back out of the smartphone market because it didn't have access to the most advanced chips, the kind that would power, say, the iPhone, for example. So it wasn't clear exactly where it got these chips or how it got these chips. Unlike most technology companies that love to talk about specs, Huawei didn't say anything about the specs here, especially the key ones. So what we did is we bought one of the phones, and then we worked with this firm, Tech Insights, which does breakdowns, teardowns of products professionally. And they looked at the components inside the phone. And what they found was very, very interesting. They found that there is an advanced semiconductor inside the phone that's made by SMIC. That's a Chinese chip-making company that's not known to have these kinds of capabilities. They were able to make the phone at what's called 7-nanometer technology, which is quite advanced. And in that case, they were able to produce a processor that was much more advanced than people had anticipated SMIC was actually capable of doing. So it's a sign of China's progress in getting around some of these U.S. restrictions on the kind of technology it has access to, particularly for a company like Huawei, which is blacklisted by the U.S. government.
Yes, I was going to ask, so why does the speed of the chips inside this Huawei phone, why does it matter? And you've given us a bit on that already. It signifies then that China is moving faster than the rest of the world had anticipated in moving to these faster chips. Is that the basics of the story?
That's right. That's right. The U.S., you'll recall that last year the Biden administration imposed export controls on China. And it was trying to draw a line in the sand where China would not have access to chips that were more sophisticated than 14 nanometer, which is about 7 years beyond the latest cutting-edge technology. And now China has shown that actually internally in China it can make these 7-nanometer chips, which are only about 5 years behind the latest technology. So it's a step forward. There's much that we don't know about this chip. We don't know what kind of volumes Huawei and SMIC can make together of these chips. We don't know whether they can make them at a cost that's competitive on a global market. But it is a sign that they're able to make some progress in this area that's been so contentious. And is something where the U.S. has tried to limit their ability to kind of delve into these kinds of technologies in the future.
Yeah, and really interesting, Peter, that they dropped this phone so quietly then, given the obvious interest in that subject. So will this affect the geopolitical clash then between Beijing and Washington? If Beijing is moving faster on its own than anticipated, does that limit the effectiveness of the Washington sanctions?
Well, it certainly is going to get the attention of the U.S., the Biden administration, and particularly the Commerce Department, which has been at the forefront of trying to impose these restrictions. It's a sign that the sanctions that they have in place right now may not be as effective as they thought they had been in the past. It seems like they are making some progress here. Inside of China, state media picked this up right away, and they kind of trumpeted the accomplishments. I think they're trying to show that they feel like they can make progress in technology, and semiconductors in particular, even without the support of the United States or even with these U.S. sanctions, which are very
men, and it's pretty fine up to this far. About that video where Trump was talking about Gaddafi and whatever those stuff, guys, I think we should find alternative ways maybe of dealing with the criminals or whatever we think it is, other than killing them. People should not kill people. We are all people. No matter, there is no sin that can cause a person to kill another person. Think about it. Share love from wherever you are and keep watching. Watch till the end. There is more fire stuff. What is this? Is this a pan? Yes, this is a pan, a cooking pan that is being peeled off.
One of the powerful things that happens when you raise your level of consciousness is that you will begin to honor yourself more deeply, love yourself more deeply, and you will begin to see that you are sacred and that your energy field is sacred. And so what ends up happening is that you become more and more selective about who can come into your energy field, who can be in your life. Because if you are sacred and your energy field is sacred, not every person is going to honor you and love you the way that a sacred being should be loved and honored. And I think one of the common things in light workers, all of us that have come here to raise the consciousness of the planet, is that you could say we are pure of heart. What does this mean? There is a natural innocence in us. And that innocence takes the form of naturally only seeing the good in others, which really means that you, in an almost childlike innocence, expect everybody to treat you the way that you naturally treat others. And when you are pure of heart, you treat others in almost pure unconditional love, which means that you're never going to say anything or do anything to somebody else to hurt them. And in the past, when we were people pleasers and somebody said something hurtful or passive aggressive, even then we were not capable of doing the same. we still couldn't hurt others with our words or actions. And this comes from having a pure heart. And so allowing someone to come into your energy field, to be a part of your life, now is a privilege that you only give to very few people. Now, when I say privilege, I don't want this to sound arrogant, like I'm special, I'm better than everyone else, and so I'm going to bestow them this privilege because I'm so important. That is definitely not my intention, and I'm going to explain this very carefully. So it is a privilege that you only give to few people, but not most, not because you're special. It's actually the other way around. It's focused on the other person. You treat others as you would like to be treated. You never would say anything to hurt somebody else. And so the only human beings that are allowed to come into your energy field are human beings who also treat others the way they want to be treated. I'm sure this has happened to you. You might have someone who has never really treated you poorly, but all it takes is one time, one moment where they're passive aggressive, where they are judgmental of you. And that's all it takes for you to see that that's not the person for you, because you would never do that with them. You're giving them a magnificent gift by being a person that is so loving that you would never do that to them. So why would you allow somebody who would do that to you? And then what happens is our minds kick in, the false matrix in our mind kicks in and says, oh, but that was nothing. They didn't really do anything that bad. But again, I want to stress to you, would you do that to that person? No, so you're giving them a great gift while they're giving you a pile of garbage. And so that's why it is a huge dishonor to yourself when somebody does something like that to you, like being passive aggressive. That is a toxic energy. That is not something that you deserve to have coming into your energy field. Now, what's especially interesting about the law of mirroring, also called the law of attraction, is that the reason that you manifested that person saying something passive aggressive to you is because inside of you there is an energy that is stuck. You're not 100% clear about how much you want to honor yourself, how much you want to love yourself, and that energy must be seen in your physical world, in your external reality. And only when you become 100% clear is that never going to happen to you again. So, for example, somebody does that to you, and it's the first time they've done it. If you're not 100% clear that that was a moment where somebody dishonored you and they don't deserve to be in your life, if you're still sort of unclear, it's going to happen again until you become 100% clear just how much you want to love yourself, just how much you want to honor yourself. And eventually, that can happen a few more times because it's still stuck energy within you. Eventually, that's never going to be seen in your external reality again, but it takes 100% clarity. Lastly, I want to talk about when you start learning about these things, maybe you're not ready to completely honor yourself yet, and that's perfectly fine. Don't beat yourself up if you don't have the confidence to end relationships or to say something to someone. Do not be discouraged that you're not able to do this. We all have to go through these stages. And so as a heads up, be very aware that when you try to even think about these things, for example, you were in a situation, somebody said something to you and you didn't feel very good after, and now you're watching my video saying that you're dishonoring yourself when somebody says that to you. Well, what's going to happen is you have many powerful programs from the false matrix in your mind. And these are the kinds of thoughts that are going to come up, challenging you when you even begin to think that you should honor yourself. I'm too sensitive, I'm too weak, I'm too emotional, I'm exaggerating, I should toughen up, this is ridiculous, I'm going crazy, etc. And especially for men, because in society, men are supposed to have no emotions, men are not supposed to cry, you have to be super tough and mean. And so when you start trying to honor yourself, you're going to be bombarded by thoughts saying that you're crazy and that you should just get a grip on yourself, basically. So now you know that's what's going to happen. It's not easy, but the road to finally one day fully honoring yourself is worth all of these challenges, facing all of these thoughts. And I know that you can do it.
How does the devil manifest? Well, I'll tell you what. When I walk in the room, the devil is going to be on his best behavior. When I'm making an initial assessment of a person, he's going to be sitting more still than a church lady. So what he wants me to think is this person is just nuts or an exaggerator, right? The person lives in the realm of the imagination. If I come at them with a crucifix, they're going to play the part. A person who's faking is going to fake his part. A person with mental illness, the mental illness might react against that. What you need to do is test in a hidden way. So I will have somebody in the next room, for example, when I'm speaking to this person, that we have a plan. At exactly 1:38 p.m., you're going to start praying in that next room against any and every evil that might be inside this person. So at 1:38, I'm looking for a reaction. Is there a change in the demeanor of this person? Because on a human level, there's no way this individual knows what's happening in the next room. I might extend to the person a bottle of holy water, a bottle of...
The devil manifests in most people. Be careful. Watch out, man, so that the devil does not manifest in you. Stay holy and watch till the end. Kindly join the membership platform to support us. Well, that was creepy. Well, that woman was like possessed, or what was that? Yeah. Original creepy. Oh, is this how Jesus looked like? This is crazy. Jesus, Osiris. Oh, this is the hidden history that we don't know.
Oh yeah. Tumeload bana, cheki area yenye tumeishi. Mpaka ndani ya hiyo nyumba. Cheki wewe umeingia kwa hiyo plot. Bana jo, watu wacha kutupata kataka kwa mtaro. Bana jo. Tunaandikia pale. Tupata kataka kwa mtaro. Doi. Bana jo. Kwa nyumba yangu imejaa hadi natembelea hivi.
Yo, that is so bad, man. Some place in Africa, you can see that is the drainage that is passing in people's houses. Guy, that is crazy, man. We should pray for people, guys. Share, extend a hand of blessing to others so that you might also be blessed. If you have something extra, you can support those that don't have. For example, by joining the membership platform or hitting the super thanks button. Yeah, and keep watching. Ew. Thanks for watching up to this far. You are very, very special and respected. Keep it tuned for next coming. Kaboom! Yo, we're out, man.